name's Greg Moodie. How am I involved in the campaign? Well, I guess I've just been poking fun at it for the last 2 years, generally. It's through these comic strips. The reason I got involved in it, in the campaign, is that it was so incredibly dull. Both sides, there was, you know, so much turgid writing on the subject, and there was never any fun. It just seemed to be a completely joy-free area, and I thought, well, that's definitely something that I could probably do. Lord Robertson I've always done as the seer of seers, just because of that appalling prediction that devolution would kill nationalism stone dead. And he's just been the gift that keeps on giving, really, with his cataclysmic predictions of doom.
But the second military power in the West to shatter this year would be cataclysmic, cataclysmic, cataclysmic.
Cyber, terrorism, extremism, failed states, etc. You know, they were sort of saying, you're just getting us depressed.
This is Alistair Carmichael, who, as soon as I saw him in the position of Scottish Secretary, I just always thought of him as a cardboard cutout.
That dress sure had me fooled. For a minute I thought you was getting to be a lady. It's going to be a pleasure to give you a lesson in marksmanship.
You couldn't give me a lesson in long-distance spitting. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
You have said...
That's disgraceful.
You have said that
Quite
there will
disgraceful.
be more powers for Scotland if we vote no. So I'm going to ask you tonight to tell me exactly what powers Scotland is guaranteed to get if we vote no.
He took over from Michael Moore MP, and it just seemed like, okay, cut out this one guy and replace him with this other cut out guy. He's really just somebody who just backs up everything that is said at Westminster. He's meant to be the guy who stands up for Scotland, and of course that was the other great thing that I could do, because he was a cardboard cutout. He kept on collapsing, folding, and obviously if he's left in the rain, it's disastrous because he melts.
What powers all of the no parties have agreed and will guarantee that Scotland will get? Give me 3 powers.
What you don't know, because you've obviously never understood this, is that there only will be that discussion when Scotland decides if she's going to remain part of the United Kingdom or not. No party, or not even all 3 parties.
You expect me to give certainty on everything, so give me some certainty.
I thought we were going to stop her interrupting me.
Alistair, answer the question.
Today's Friday, so it's comic strip day, and I'll be doing this patronising Better Together Lady cartoon today. This started out with the most appalling sexist nonsense advert produced by the No campaign. Really quite unbelievable, actually.
Do you know, my Paul is worse than the telly these days. He will not leave off about the referendum. He started again first thing this morning. Have you made a decision yet? I was like, it's too early to be discussing politics. Eat your cereal.
I actually feel sorry for this actress, because she is just an actress. But it's the script that's the problem. It's not this poor woman's fault. But this has been a very popular story on social media this week. This woman and her cup of tea, and it's just about her being trapped in her kitchen and not having time to make decisions about the referendum. But her husband, who's never seen, is always trying to tell her, you know, that she should really be voting yes, and indoctrinating the children, and really just absolutely appalling.
is his party that wants to break up the United Kingdom, and it's for his party to make the case.
Thank you very much. A poll last week showed that 68% of Scots want oil revenues devolved to Scotland. Does the Prime Minister agree with 68% of Scots, or does he not?
Well, if you ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer. I think.
David Cameron gets filmed on beach holidays and whatnot, and I think I just decided to take it one step further and just have him binge out on Tennant's Special. And this is the Tennant Special relationship. I've never quite understood what this whole special relationship with the US is meant to be about, and I think it may actually be a figment of the UK's fevered imagination. This particular point, I think, was around the time of Thatcher's death.
Last night, when we were saying prayers, my daddy said everyone has done wrong things except Jesus. And I said, I don't think you have done bad things because you are the Prime Minister. Am I right, or is my daddy?
And there was nobody from Barack Obama's administration attended the funeral. And I believe this really upset the UK government. And so here is David Cameron drowning his sorrows. How can we punch above our weight now? And he just gets steadily more dishevelled and drunker until he's just a complete drunken mess. And finally says, you know, for Barack, I'd even stay in Europe for him.
Looks like I'm gonna be stuck here the whole summer. Well, what a bummer.
You will witness the final destruction of the Alliance and the end of your insignificant rebellion. In time, you will call me Master.
So the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, I always kind of just thought of him as quite a shifty, kind of dark person. Somewhere in the background doing some creepy stuff, I don't know. And I guess for a little while I did a few of these pieces with Rose Garnett, who is a horror writer. And whenever she was involved, this character got darker and darker. So he became really quite a creepy kind of Nosferatu sort of character.
We go to Edinburgh now because the Chancellor George Osborne has been making a major speech about Scotland's future. Mr Osborne says Scotland will not be able to retain the pound if it becomes an independent country. We can hear more of what he had to say.
If Scotland walks away from the UK, it walks away from the UK pound.
Well, that was the Chancellor George Osborne.
I'm always kind of pointing out that he may be some sort of omnisexual creature from the dark as well, which of course is not true about George Osborne. This is caricature.
STV News wanted to put some questions to the Chancellor. We attempted to catch a word as he left. His car moved from the front door of the hotel to a side entrance, as his press team appeared to want to shepherd him away without taking any further questions.
Patience, my friend.
Chancellor, how much is this decision today going to cost businesses in England? And with that, off to more engagements. But no engagement with this channel. Bernard Ponsonby, STV News, Edinburgh.
He is a kind of background kind of guy who just comes in and says, no, you can't have the currency, you can't have the pound, without any kind of backup, and despite the fact that it would be absolutely disastrous for the rest of the UK not to have a currency union, but that's the no campaign for you. So this is the basic frame that everybody's been using for various memes, so what I did was just cut her out, did the basic drawing around her, exaggerated her eyes and her mouth, and then I just start slotting in the story. So Better Together's new poster girl's led a sheltered life, and husband Paul believes it may be time to release her from her kitchen duties. So what I'm going to do next is then just go to various other situations that she finds herself in.
So at the Labour Party conference I told this story about Cathy Murphy, who was a delegate at the 2011 Labour conference in Liverpool, and she fell seriously ill. She had to have a life-saving operation at Liverpool Broad Green Hospital, and you know, what really struck me is the nurses and doctors didn't care whether she was Scottish.
I think at this point he was trying to be hard on the unions, but failing because the unions, you know, got him elected. So here he is saying unite or being downright beastly. And he has a special advisor who I've christened Corky. And I always just thought Corky would be me, really. Think of me whenever you see Corky. And Corky's just full of really bad advice and leads him astray. And I kind of think of Ed as a bit of a weak character, really. So he's easily led.
Shame on you! Shame on you! You should be ashamed of yourself! Why don't you go to Motherwell Cross, Mr. Miliband, while you're here? Why don't you go and see the people down at Motherwell Cross and see how they're living? Come on, we're all better together, Mr. Miliband, come on!
I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. No way I'm disco dancing. I'm a model, you know what I mean, and I do my little turn.
What should be done, frankly, David, that is why we need a referendum very quickly on our membership of the European Union. Because
I've drawn Nigel Farage a few times, and always dancing. He's the dancing politician in my cartoon, and he always has a different song every time that he's dancing to. In this particular one, it's I'm too sexy for my shirt. And the key thing in this cartoon is that the other people dancing in the background are the leaders of the other parties, because this is pretty much what I think is the state of UK politics. These other leaders are basically dancing to the tune of this strange little man and his group of grisly hobgoblins. And it's unfortunate for Scotland because we don't vote for them, and they're dragging these parties further and further to the right with their ridiculous views on immigration and Europe. And we just have to grin and bear it.
Tonight we're in Inverness, and this is our last programme before the referendum on Scottish independence in September. And rather than hear, as we have many times in recent programmes, the voice of politicians on this issue, we've chosen tonight, just for this once, to hear from the laity. Welcome to Question Time.
Here we are, Scottish independence and why it sucks. David Dimbleby in his UK hat. And this was actually done quite a while ago, which gives you an idea of how long this problem has been going on. This is like a year and a half ago maybe I did this one. And I don't know, because it was so long ago, I can't remember what it was specifically that, you know, got me angry. But what I did was I brought up just a whole load of completely irrelevant, you know, figures who were going to talk about Scottish independence. People who basically didn't know anything about it. A cardboard cutout Ringo Starr, the ghost of Elvis Presley, a giant corkscrew.
We will keep our union together in the name of Jesus.
Thank you.
This guy with the tuba is the No Campaign's campaign director, Blair MacDougall. The reason he has a tuba It's completely arbitrary. He does not play the tuba. But what happened was about a year ago, there were reports that all of the artists were supporting independence. And so I had to imagine if Blair MacDougall was going to form an artists' movement, what would it be like? So I thought, well, what would be the most ridiculous thing that his idea for an artists' movement, leading an artists' movement of tuba players, maybe that was, that was where that came from. It's a completely silly idea, and I think the intention was just to make this large man look silly. Lord Fuchs. Lord Fuchs is a guy, serves no real purpose, but what he does is he pops up every now and then and just takes pot shots at wherever. Some of them are pretty random.
I imagine these people sitting up all night at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were posting these things. And I thought, they're cyber freaks, they're not cybernat.
Hence, I made him Lord Fuchs in a box.
Excuse me, Kermit, may I speak with you?
Sure, Sam. What you want?
I think you know why I am here.
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I've never known why you're here.
Alistair Darling is the head of the No campaign. I started off drawing him really kind of realistically, and it just wasn't funny. He's just not a funny, he just looks so straight and so dull, you know, and eventually this idea of him being this Muppet character, but it was just funnier than the real life Alistair. He has a bunny on his head, and this came from the Vote No Borders thing, who were completely shameless about how they were exploiting the situation in adverts. And I did a sketch where they were saying, vote no or the bunny gets it. And that pretty much sums it up for those guys. But anyway, after that, everybody loved the fluffy bunny. So I just kept using it. And I put him all over the place and ended up sitting on Alistair Darling's eyebrow porch, as he called it. Yeah, well, I gave him a, you know, this S&M collar and nipple clamps, just because it just seemed to me like David Cameron's GIMP. David Cameron is the guy who really should be debating this whole thing. Alistair Darling, it's like, yeah, bring out the GIMP. So what I'm going to do is just put the patronising BT lady into all kinds of situations that she's unfamiliar with. This is her walking down the street, and she has limited survival skills because she's been stuck in the kitchen for many, many years, and her husband makes all the decisions and pays all the bills. So she's saying here that she's bumped into a Yes campaigner, and she says, you must have been listening to the bloke off the telly. I was too busy with the hoovering. Do you want some cereal? And thereafter she goes to, she falls into a hairdresser's shop, and the proprietor there just tells her what she wants, and so she comes out with a ridiculous hairstyle, probably a mohawk or something. And next thing, she'll go into a tattoo parlor. The tattooist is going to just say, do you want the full ink? And she says, well, you're a man, so you know best. And so on. She goes into a bar, defers to the barman's good judgment, and drinks 10 pints of lager. Asks if she can pay with her club points. And I think finally I'm going to put her on a train, because a train guard at Waverley Station mishears her comments about cereal and puts her on a train to Curry Hill. And so she'll just say, I've never been on a train before, where's the kitchen? And that's this week's cartoon. So I've got 2 years worth of these cartoons now, and I've put them together into this limited edition book. It's called Greg Moodie Versus the Union. I don't want anybody to think that because it's called Greg Moodie Versus the Union that I think the referendum's all about me. It's really not. In fact, I'm probably one of the most modest geniuses I know. The independence campaign is absolutely massive now and still growing. So it's really the Yes campaign versus the Union. There's quite a lot of detail in here. There's one person notable by his absence is Alex Salmond. I did have Alex Salmond in here at one point, standing up at the back, and then I thought, well, it's not really about the SNP, so I took him out and replaced him with a giant corkscrew, because I thought that, you know, the giant corkscrew actually said more about my take on the world. So it's just random, it's just a silly object, it's like the fluffy bunny, it doesn't mean anything. It's just something that I started using and carried on using. You're asking the wrong person if you want to, you know, get serious political answers. The cover's based on an old Delacroix painting of French Revolution scene, and in the original, all the victors are carrying guns and weapons, and ours is not an armed struggle. So I have Liberty herself carries a bottle of iron brew. We've got the artists with, you know, there's a guitar, there's a paint palette, there's a poet, Liz Lockhead, Patrick Harvey's carrying a pot plant, and there's even, you know, a wind farm at the back. In the original, the people lying on the ground are the fallen. They're wounded or dead, and in my version, these guys are not dead. They're just tired. They're just having to lie down. They're kind of worn out, run out of ideas, run out of steam, basically. People have asked me who the central character is. This character playing Liberty. Well, it's a fictional character who runs through the other things that I've written, called La Flamme, and she's just a fiery woman. And the reason that I used her, somebody that nobody would know, is that to use anybody else would be ridiculous. If it was me holding the flag, it would be very silly. If it was, you know, Liz Lockhead, if it was Nicola Sturgeon, it just wouldn't work. The central figure had to be somebody that nobody knows, because what she's representing is just one of the Yes supporters.